Episode 3: The Cursed City of Tongo. The sun was setting when the group stumbled upon it, a sprawling metropolis buried deep in the jungle, overrun with vines, crumbling architecture, and an unsettling stillness. The once busy avenues of Tongo stood lifeless, their chaotic history frozen in time. "This is eerie," muttered Zubri, his fingers instinctively brushing the hilt of his blade. "Not a bird, not an insect. Nothing." Nola, standing at the edge of the city's remnants, felt strange energy thrumming in the air. "This place isn't dead. It's watching us," she whispered, her voice barely audible. As they ventured deeper into Tongo, the group couldn't ignore the signs: faded murals depicting a massive, coiled serpent interacting with human figures, sometimes benevolently, sometimes with menace. Cracked stone tablets hinted at a tale forgotten by time, written in a language that even Nola struggled to decipher. "What do you think happened here?" asked Will. His voice echoed briefly, swallowed by the silence. "Something broke," Nola replied, touching one of the murals. The serpent seemed almost alive under her fingertips. Whatever it was, Tongo paid for it dearly. But none of them noticed the shadows stretching unnaturally behind them as the sun dipped lower, a warning the abandoned city was not as lifeless as it seemed. As twilight fell, they saw the first clue of Tongo's fate: a massive stone tablet in the center of the city's square, cracked down the middle. Nola brushed aside the debris covering it and began translating the worn words aloud. "This city prospered under the protection of the Nyoka Spirit," she read, tracing the jagged script carefully. "A pact was made, life for life, tribute for sanctuary. But they reneged on the deal. They betrayed the spirit." "And then?" asked Zubri, his brow furrowed. "The Nyoka cursed them," Nola finished, her voice heavy. "They vanished into the shadows they had summoned against themselves." Suddenly, cold wind rushed past them, carrying an eerie hum. The shadows around them darkened unnaturally, bleeding together into dense, hulking forms. The first wave attacked, a jagged, twitching creature of darkness lunged for them with inhuman speed. "Scatter!" screamed Whale, raising his torch, the flickering flame barely casting enough light to hold the creature back. The group was plunged into chaos as more shadow creatures emerged from the darkness, circling their prey. These creatures were not animals, but not quite ghosts either, featureless, shifting, and utterly hostile. They barely made it into a nearby building, barricading themselves inside with ripped debris from the crumbling city. Chest heaving, the group exchanged frantic, terrified glances. "What were those things?" gasped Alia, clutching her arm where a shadow creature had scratched her. The wound burned with unnatural pain. Nola's face was pale. "Manifestations of the Nyoka Spirit's curse. These creatures, they aren't alive. Their vengeance, pure and simple." "So, what now?" Zubri snapped. "We can't take on an army of vengeful shadows. We find out what the spirit wants," Nola said firmly, despite the fear gnawing at her. "The curse began with betrayal, perhaps it can end with understanding." But the moment was short-lived. Outside, the creatures prowled, clawing at the fragile barricade. Their growls were low and guttural, predatory. "It doesn't feel like they're going to give us time to explain ourselves," muttered Whale. "We are running out of options." In their search for an advantage, the group stumbled across a broken mirror hanging in the ruined structure. Whale angled the shards towards the shadows pressing against the cracks of the barricades. To their astonishment, the reflected light caused the creatures to recoil violently. "They hate light, anything reflective," Whale exclaimed. "This can buy us time." Desperate, the group scavenged for more reflective surfaces, pieces of broken glass, polished remnants of metal relics, even a sheet of half-broken bronze. They created improvised shields to protect themselves as they prepared to escape deeper into Tongo. When the group pushed out of the shelter, they were met by another wave of shadow creatures. Their improvised defenses saved them, repelling the creatures for brief moments, but every second felt like an eternity. "This isn't sustainable," Alia coughed, swinging her bronzed shield clumsily. "They keep coming. We need a plan." The group's hurried retreat through the city led them to what was once a grand temple, its massive stone doors carved with serpent motifs. Inside, the air felt heavy, charged with an oppressive energy they couldn't ignore. The door slammed behind them, and the shadow creatures halted outside, unwilling to enter. At the far end of the hall, the outline of a massive, coiled serpent shimmered into existence. It wasn't flesh, but a haunting apparition, an avatar of the Nyoka Spirit itself. "Thieves," it hissed, its voice reverberating through the structure. "Liars. Betrayers. You tread on sacred ground where your kind dared defy my trust. Why have you come?" Nola stepped forward, trembling but defiant. "We mean no harm, Spirit of Nyoka. We only seek the truth of this place. What was done to you, can it not be undone?" The spirit's eyes glowed fiercely, its coiled form tightening. "Undone. The arrogance of mortals knows no limits. Do you offer life for life to restore your trespass into balance?" "What does that mean?" whispered Alia, her voice panicked. "It's saying we have to sacrifice someone," Zuburi muttered. The group stared in stunned silence, fear and moral conflict rippling between them. Nola, searching her memory of the murals and inscriptions they had seen, spoke again. "Wait. That's not the only way, is it? The pact wasn't about death, it was about care, tribute, and respect. That balance could still be restored." The Nyoka Spirit's form lunged closer, its immense head lowering until it was eye level with Nola. Its glowing eyes seemed to pierce through her mind. Bold words. "Do you believe humanity capable of honoring such a promise again?" Nola met its gaze, heart thundering. "We won't all repeat the mistakes of the past. Let us prove it." The spirit recoiled slightly, then hissed, "You will face my trial. Failure means annihilation." The temple's ground began to quake, and the group braced themselves as the specter of Nyoka dissipated. But the challenge had begun. Shadows poured into the temple, the creatures faster, larger, and more defective than before. But Nola, now understanding their weakness, directed the group to use their reflective tools strategically. The group worked in unison, light flashing across walls and deflecting via shards. Shadows dissipated, one by one, but the temple itself turned against them. Floor tiles collapsed, and serpentine tendrils erupted from below, threatening to swallow anything in their path. "This isn't just a trial for survival," Nola shouted. "It's testing us, testing if we can work together, rely on each other." With renewed focus, the group navigated through the treacherous trials, leaning on mutual trust and clever thinking to survive Tongo's last stand. At the heart of the temple, they found what Nola had suspected, a damaged artifact, its design matching the inscriptions from earlier murals, an effigy of the Nyoka Spirit. "This must be it," she exclaimed. "Zuburi, get those vines off. Alia, use the reflective shields to hold those things back." The group scrambled into action, the shadow creatures growing fiercer as they approached. Nola whispered an invocation taught to her in earlier travels, her voice shaking but steadying with each word. The moment the effigy was restored to its rightful place, the creatures howled one last time before dissolving into nothingness. The oppressive energy lifted, and the Nyoka Spirit's glowing form returned, calmer but still mighty. "You have passed," it said. "For your unity, I grant mercy." As dawn broke, the city of Tongo seemed to start to life. The previously lifeless streets felt lighter, somehow less burdened by the curse that had plagued them. You proved something, the Nyoka Spirit continued. The bond between mortals can be stronger than greed and betrayal. But beware, this trust is fragile. You walk a line that could destroy you. It left them with a parting gift, a glowing emblem that pulsed with faint light, a reminder of the fragile balance between humans and spirits. Nola held it reverently, her voice quiet. Not all spirits are friends, but they are not enemies either. We are not just visitors here. This world, theirs and ours, is intertwined. Leaving Tongo behind, the group finally exhaled their tension. Well, that was a close one, joked Whale, trying to lighten the mood. You think? Zubri muttered, still clutching his blade. But as night fell once more, faint whispers echoed in the jungle around them, a chilling reminder that this adventure was far from over. They packed up their camp without hesitation, stepping into the next chapter of their journey, determined yet haunted by the lingering question, what other ancient forces waited, watching, just beyond the shadows?